Ed, along with Eric Geiger, co-wrote a brand new book we're very excited about, a book called Transformational Groups, creating a new scorecard for groups. Now, this book came out of some research, some substantive research that we've done over the past few years on groups, and what is it that makes groups effective at creating transformed disciples. And so that's what we want to talk about today. We want to look at some biblical and theological foundations of groups, and then we want to talk about some practical steps that you can take to help make your groups to be places of transformation. Let me just share some statistical realities with you. First, when we were doing the research, we found that without question, really, there's nothing else that even compares to it, that groups are the most effective disciple-making tool in the life of a church. They are clearly, above and beyond everything else, is the most effective disciple-making tool. The problem is that pastors don't view them that way. Now, if you ask pastors, do you believe that groups are important in your church? They'll say yes. 9 out of 10 say yes. But here's what we did. We asked them, what's the number one disciple-making tool in your church? And what they responded with was the pulpit, preaching. In fact, more specifically, anytime they were in the pulpit preaching, whether it was Sunday morning worship or Sunday night worship or Saturday worship or Wednesday evening prayer meeting, that sort of thing, Bible study, whenever they're in the pulpit teaching, they believed that that was the primary, number one disciple-making tool of the church. Now, hear me very carefully. I'm not undermining or devaluing the pulpit ministry of the church. I'm a pastor. I serve as a pastor. I've been a senior pastor for years, and now I'm a teaching pastor at a church, and I preach every Sunday. Just preached the last 2 Sundays at my church while our pastor was out of the country, our senior pastor was out of the country. I mean, I believe in the pulpit ministry of the church. I wouldn't in any sense want to diminish or devalue that. But what I want to indicate to you, what I think the research indicates, is that pastors, churches, church leaders are not valuing enough the groups ministry of the church. In fact, in many cases, we're not even investing in it at all. In most cases, at bare minimum, just investing in it minimally. And so pastors believe that the pulpit ministry is the number one disciple-making tool of the church. The truth of the matter is the statistics show us that the groups are the most important, or at least the number one most effective disciple-making tool of the church. Now, piggybacking on top of that, we found that the pastors, if we ask them, do groups matter in your church? Are they a big deal? Are they important to the life of your church? As I said a minute ago, 9 out of 10 pastors would agree with that statement. Yes, groups matter. But then we kind of went around the pastors and we asked a question of the people in the pew. Do you believe, we asked them, do you believe that your pastor and your church leaders believe that groups matter? And a majority of them said no. We don't think it matters to our pastors and our group leaders. And so what that tells us is that there's a disconnect between what pastors perceive to be true or what they desire to be true and what their behavior actually shows to be true.